Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Go ahead and get started. And Brett, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Brett. Okay, on our agenda, the first item is to approve the minutes from the meeting of July 16th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thanks, Norm. Second by Lisa. Any additions, corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Rachel, someone signed up to make any public comments?
No.
Okay, thank you. Kevin Loki will lead us in a discussion on the local labor monitoring report.
Okay.
You don't have a podium.
Oh, it's just got to be pushed up.
Allison's out on vacation this week, so we're down one of our crucial team members.
That's kind of smart.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, so I got the July 2023 report, covering our visits between the 1st and the 31st of July. We made 78 monthly site visits during that month. We had 6 follow-up visits. We checked with residency with 1,313 workers. We had 23 issues of non-compliance. 11 were no proof of residence. 12 were out of area. We had 3 new COMIDA signs delivered to Sibley Commercial LLC, Sibley Redevelopment LP, and Indus Lehigh Station LLC.
Okay, any questions for Kevin? All right. Thank you very much.
You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Next item is the local labor exemption report, and Anna will review that with us today.
Thank you, Anne. This is Bonadio's August 2024 verified local labor exemption report. This is the sole exemption request that was processed in the month of July for Clear Choice Building NY LLC. This was an exemption related to the installation of the exterior tile panels at the facility in Rochester. The exemption was based on the no local labor available, specialized construction criteria. The project is utilizing a local tile setter for the installation of the tile panels, but 2 of the installers possessing the requisite certifications are from BAC Local 3 member who reside in Erie County.
Okay, any questions on this or any other local labor exemptions? Okay, moving right along. Our first project for approval today is the Gleason Corp, and Anna will.
Oh, we're going to do finance. No, that's okay. Greg's here for the financial report.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, that's all right.
All right, Greg. Sorry, I didn't mean to insult you.
That's okay. It's boring.
Anything but.
All right. Yeah, so financials through July, again, as we keep on saying, our financials, our balance sheet was very strong. A lot of it has to do with the economic development over the past few years. Our cash trending about $5 million from where it was about at the end of last year, mainly because of the reallocation of our assets into our T-bills and investments. We are a little light on cash, so you'll see as our next T-bill becomes mature in October, we may not renew that. Well, we'll need some of that for our existing workforce development programs that we have on the books and ones that we'll probably hear about today. So we'll probably look to reduce our investment balance there over the next few months. In terms of our treasuries, you can see approximately $16 million as of July 31st. That represents about 10 different T-bills and notes. As I said, the next one to matures in October. We do go out basically every 3 months until April of 2026, purchasing different increments every 3 months. And we'll continue through that process until we feel there's a different strategy. Overall, like I said, all of our other balances on our balance sheet are to budget expectations. Our fee income, as we had talked about, is a little bit lumpy, and again, the first 7 months are a little bit behind pace, but we do anticipate a few significant projects closing at the last quarter of the year that will hopefully make up all of this shortfall and get us back on track. That has kind of been the trend the last couple of years as projects kind of take a little bit to get to that finish line, and we do anticipate the same as we close out the year. Interest is really generated from our T-bills and investments, and again, that is a little bit more than we have budgeted. Two big reasons for that is we've had a little bit more excess cash. Our spend is a little bit less, but also last year in the last quarter we generated some projects that closed, and before we did the budget, we didn't anticipate having as much working capital on hand. When we did, that's obviously reflected in our investments, and that's why that's a little bit more than what we had budgeted. I think the budget was due in October of last year, and we had closed some things in the last couple of months of 2023. Overall, I mean, all of our expenses are really on track. And again, the program community development mainly represents our spend on our workforce development programs. And as we have said previously, we've committed, since inception, about $7 million to that fund when we started it. We've allocated approximately 4.7 against that, so we have some money to go to approve additional projects. That is a little bit behind budget. Same reason. Generally, that things aren't moving as fast as we anticipated, but we do anticipate over the next 4 to 5 months those picking up, and we'll have additional spend. That's why we need that additional cash as well. Overall, I think, like I said, we'll expect that net deficit to turn into maybe a slight surplus by the end of the year based on a couple projects closing.
If you look at year over year, this time on the revenue side, we're about $300,000 more than this same time period last year, and expenses are significantly under budget year to date. So good budgeting on that, Greg. So we're doing well on that as well.
We're in a good spot.
Any questions for Troy?
I have a question,
Yes,
Madam Chair.
Troy.
As a finance committee member and a board member, how am I tracking with this report $450,000 in interest? Where does that come back up to the top? Is it in the cash and cash equivalents? How do I track the interest income on investments with this report?
Yeah, so I would say generally any of the interest that we're receiving goes back into our cash accounts. We don't specifically allocate it to, and then looking at whether we have excess cash, that all goes into the same pot. If on this specific report, you won't generally see that, but if you wanted to kind of, I would say, test that balance, the $450,000, if you looked at the end of the year, we had 12.3 in investments. Now we have 16 million. Let's just call that as an average 14 million of investments, for the first 7 months. And an average rate, again, I'm just using generalities here, but 14 million at 5% over, and that's, I would say the general rate of where we are, over 7 months produces about $408,000 of interest income. So I don't know if you're trying to prove out if that interest income number is correct, or where the specific where that is going.
Robin, I think, didn't we talk about producing something on a monthly basis beyond this at one of the meetings so that it was more defined?
Yes.
I think that's.
I don't think Robin was present for that meeting.
Oh,
was at the June meeting. Yeah.
Allison had followed up, I think, with some information to share with the full board. And Allison's on vacation this week, so I can follow up with her. But,
Well, I would like the minutes to reflect that if I'm not going to get insurance as a fiduciary and it's not going to be response to show me that insurance, I want it again in the minutes. If I'm going to look at a snapshot as a fiduciary on the finance committee, this is inadequate for money in, money out, especially when I'm seeing an interest income of $450,000. And you can't explain to me where that's sitting other than look at the overall. That doesn't cut it for me. On every other financial board, this needs to be addressed. And I can't, for the 10th month, repeat myself.
Rachel, can you address the question about directors and officers insurance and the information that was shared?
That's not
with the full board?
fiduciary insurance.
So the board carries directors and officers insurance. Fiduciary insurance is typically provided when pension funds are being managed, which we're not managing a pension fund, but
Any fund of finance investment has fiduciary insurance, not specific to pensions.
On July 18th, I shared with the board edits to the minutes for the June 18th board meeting, and staff reviewed the meeting recording and revised the minutes accordingly. And I also attached to that email a copy of COMIDA's insurance policy as requested.
Okay, thank you very much.
I would just add last quarter, which was, I think, also requested in terms of additional support with respect to the investments and accounts, was provided to the finance committee before last board meeting.
Right. If we wanted to bring some of that forward to the board on a monthly basis, we could do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you. Let's see, our first project today is the Gleason Corporation. Anna, you want to walk us through that?
Certainly. The Gleason Corporation proposes renovation of its 700,000 square foot building, originally built in the early 1900s in the city of Rochester. This project involves major plant reconfiguration, improved infrastructure, and significant equipment upgrades. Renovations include HVAC upgrades, roof replacement, restoration of factory floors, creation of new office spaces, and restoration of the exterior building structure. The renovation of Gleason Works Rochester will allow the company to expand their specialized gear services and automation businesses, relocate their plastic gears business from Bergen, New York, to support growth, and develop a digital manufacturing solutions platform. These investments will allow the Gleason Corporation to maintain global competitiveness and grow in Rochester while retaining jobs that could have gone elsewhere. This $17 million project is expected to create 34 new FTEs over the next 3 years. The applicant is seeking approval of a sales tax exemption, and the benefit to incentive ratio is 46-1.
Thank you, Anna. We have the Vice President of Operations and General Manager here to represent. Would you like to step up at the podium and tell us more about the, I'm sorry, I'm going to destroy your last name, but it's Dominic.
Yes, Dominic Peter.
Okay, thank you. Tell us more about your project.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I've been with Gleason Corporation for the last 7 years. I am the Vice President and General Manager of this site as well as 2 other sites internationally. This site for us is really about modernizing the facility, both in terms of the infrastructure, as you noted, the way we organize the business, as well as investment in people. We have, our type of business requires a fair amount of overhead to support it, and so you need a base on which you can run that type of activities. We're a high-touch type of business. That means we are the let's say, fountain of information more and more for our customers. And so we work very hand in hand with our customers on solutions. In order to support that, you need a base of business. And then the other things you mentioned there kind of feed into that. The specialized gear services is us working with our customers, both on a development standpoint as well as a program standpoint, to kind of further know-how and relationships with customers. And then lastly, the automation and digitalization kind of play into long-term objectives. We see customers moving that direction. More and more, we're not selling an individual product, but we're selling a system with a bunch of functionality to it. And while in the past, maybe customers thought they could do that on their own, today they're looking to leasing to solve these problems.
How many are you bringing in from Bergen?
There's just a small business there, there's 7 people.
I see. Do you have any government contracts?
Indirectly. We deal with folks with military
That have And you have 220 jobs or positions today?
Today we actually have over 500.
500.
220 was what.
Okay, so this project will retain 220 jobs. And create 34 new ones. Any questions?
Yes.
Norm?
Years ago, I recall Zeller Electric doing some, a major amount of work there. And how does this augment or keep you going along those lines? I'm I'm a neighbor, so I drive by Gleason's every day, and I'm very interested in the actual health of the company. And I worked with Jim Gleason on some educational initiatives in the past. So I'm just curious on how the Zeller project and this project, how do they coincide and how do they impact each other?
Zeller, which is now Motion AI, they undergone some growth and acquisition, but they're still in our building. They're a key supplier of ours. I would say their project was more internal focused into getting their office space and their internal systems working the way they wanted. For what concerns the building, we're overseeing, let's say, lighting, roofing, those are our responsibility. HVAC systems are all kind of in our lease agreements with them. So that's the part that would kind of dovetail into our tenants. Because two of our key tenants are actually two of our key suppliers, so we have an interest in keeping them healthy.
So there's synergy. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, we held a public hearing on this project on 15th. Rachel, are there any comments from that?
No, there are not.
I'll ask you a few local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy? And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time? And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance? Okay, great. The seeker process is complete. I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a sales tax exemption. And so I will call your name. Joe is absent. Norm?
Yes.
Brett?
Yay.
Lisa?
Yes.
Troy?
Yay.
Ann is a yay. And Jay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Motion carries. Continued success to you. An enormous organization for us. We're fortunate that you stay here and you're serving all these other countries as well. Thank you very much. Okay. Now we have a bunch of project modifications, and I'll let Anna start us off with the first one.
Voyatzis Incorporated, DBA Interstate Battery System of Rochester, received board approval in September 2023 for a sales tax exemption for fleet upgrades and improvements to their headquarters in the town of Henrietta. The application is now seeking an increase in project costs of $124,132, as the original scope did not include necessary equipment upgrades nor an additional truck that needs to be replaced. The total project costs are now $239,332, and the sales tax exemption is now not to exceed $19,147. The applicant is also seeking an extension through December 31st, 2025, as fleet upgrades are not expected to be made until early 2025.
Thank you, Anna. The general manager, Jimmy Boyatz.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I am Jim
Do real
Boyatz.
well on that. Do you want to elaborate a bit for us?
Sure, of course. We're looking to replace a forklift right now. We have a forklift that has about 25,000 hours on it, which is very high. It's going to need a new battery soon. The battery is about 8 years old. Those cost about $8,000, $9,000, and it needs about $2,000 in repair right now. So rather than put the money into a new battery and aging forklift, we're looking for a new forklift. And then we are also looking for a pallet jack. We had a pallet jack break a couple of years back, and we've just been using a hand pallet jack. Batteries are heavy. These guys are moving about 1,000-pound pallet or so. It just takes them too long. We have some older guys. It's not necessarily safe for them. Don't want to get anyone hurt. And then lastly, we have a truck F550, which is over 100,000 miles. In our experience over the years, we're carrying a fair amount of weight. These trucks usually start to have issues shortly after 100,000 miles. We just don't want to put money in an aging truck, have something that's safe for the guys to drive, and we just can't afford to have anything down for an amount of time. Usually when these trucks go down, it can be about a week or so, which we really can't afford. And those are the three that we're looking to revise and add on.
Okay, any question? Thank you for that. Any questions by the board? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve an increase in project costs and an extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31, 2025.
So moved.
Moved by Jay,
Second.
seconded by Norm. Any other comments, changes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Good luck to you on that. Okay, next item is GS Optics LLC. Anna?
Yeah.
Thank you, Ann. GS Optics LLC, a tenant of Germanow Simon Corporation, received board approval in November 2023 for a sales tax exemption for the renovation of a 44,000 square foot building in the city of Rochester. The applicant is seeking an increase in project costs of $202,000, as the project now includes additional build-out and furnishings. The total project costs are now $877,000, and the sales tax exemption is now not to exceed $46,160.
Okay. Let's see, we have Annette Kucheri. Oh, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm the Director of Finance at GS Optics. This is Ben Vespone. He is Principal Hardware Systems Engineer. It's quite a mouthful, but he's brilliant. So in June of 2023, G&H, it's a business based out of England, based out of the UK, acquired Germanow Simon Company. It's been in the Rochester area for approximately 117 years. And there were several floors that went undeveloped and unused for decades. So Andy Germanow has put in his probably close to $1 million in renovations just to build out that space. And we have, GS Optics has relocated one of our Virginia sites to the space, and we're also investing quite a few dollars in it as well. And our hope is to turn it into the center of excellence for our life science division, our medical devices. So we're very excited. Our parent company fell in love with the Rochester area, and that's why we're here. So we're increasing our scope, we're increasing the costs, and
the dominant factor is we're doubling the manufacturing production space. So originally there was 2 areas that were on the original scope. This is adding a third to double the assembly capacity of the facility.
Okay, any questions?
Is that being driven by bringing the Virginia operations or?
Partly so, and also we are tapping into the U.S. market for life sciences. We have a strong presence in overseas in England, and Puget Housego has been waiting to get into the U.S. market for life sciences, and we see significant customer demand, and we will have year-over-year double-digit growth as it's projected now.
Thank you. There's a lot to love about Rochester, so I'm
There
glad
really
we
is.
discovered it.
Okay, any other questions? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve an increase in the project costs. Moved by Lisa.
Second.
And seconded by Jay. Any other changes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Okay, next modification is Hard Road Realty.
Thank you, Anne. This is an assignment assumption. The assignor is Hard Road Realty LLC, and the assignee is EEG Parking LLC. Lefroy's Development LLC constructed a 32,000 square foot building that was leased to the University of Rochester in the town of Webster. The original approval date for the project was March 17th, 2022. The project was primarily dedicated to medical and radiation oncology services, featuring a linear accelerator vault, a unique device used in radiation treatments for patients with cancer that requires special construction, as well as an ophthalmology office and related services. Lefroy's provided the building shell, and the University of Rochester completed the interior renovations. The University of Rochester is now purchasing the building through a for-profit LLC and will assume the Lease Plus pilot agreement. The original project amount was $7,246,000.
Thank you. We have Andrea Wright here today to represent this modification. You want to give us additional information?
Sure, I'm Andrea Wright. I'm relatively new to the university as their head of real estate, and Mark Wright here, our real estate counsel as well. So this property, again, we're asking for an assignment. This was a purchase option that was negotiated as part of the original lease. Hard Road Realty is our landlord for the University of Rochester. That was negotiated back in 2020. We have executed on that option. We are optimistically aiming for an end of month closing to purchase the property. As was mentioned, property is used both for an oncology practice, the Wilmot Cancer Center, as well as the Flom Eye Institute. The original contract required us to maintain 30 jobs and add 3 new ones. Currently, full-time employees, the equivalent is about 75, just under 75 employees at the property. A lot of that growth is because we've significantly expanded our pediatric ophthalmology practice at that location. It's sort of opening up pediatric ophthalmology in that Webster Penfield corridor. In addition to that, we have expanded our practice with the Wilmot Cancer Institute. This location is actually pretty integral to, it's a mouthful to say, the National Cancer Institute designation for a cancer center. So this location is integral to that, and kind of explains some of the growth that we've had.
So the pediatric age of folks going through this center, are they babies, or are they
0 to
up to
18.
age 12? Or?
And to be clear, this center is not just pediatrics. That's just something we expanded in this location that wasn't previously in the 2 practices that we consolidated into this location.
I see. Brett?
I'm assuming that it was because of space at Wilmot that we looked to expand. Would that be correct? It's Webster?
You mean space on the on-campus location?
Yes.
Yes. Well, and quite honestly, it's the only cancer center run by UR east of Rochester. So we are trying to make sure that that patients have access to healthcare throughout the Rochester region.
The designation you referred to, is that something you've recently received or is seeking?
We are seeking. We have not yet filed the application for it. There are a number of requirements, but making sure that we have cancer practices throughout Rochester is one of the requirements for the designation.
What does that designation provide? What does that?
It it's renowned, it provides extra grant opportunities and things like that for the university.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on this? All right. I'll ask for a motion to approve the sale of the facility and assignment of the real property tax abatement. Moved by Rhett, seconded by Jay. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Jay. As Chair of Governance, you are going to give us an
I'll give an
update.
updated report. Thank you. At our last governance committee meeting, one of the things we met to talk about is putting out an RFP for housing study, and there was some good discussion around that. What that led to was basically a review of our current mission statement. And then based on best practices, that if we do want to do housing, housing should be part of our mission statement. So what the board has before them is a modification to our mission statement to include housing within that purpose. And I think we are looking for approval from the board to actually update our mission statement to reflect that. So certainly open to questions that the board has about the changes being proposed.
All right. You're making the motion then?
There are no questions. I will.
I think there
I will.
must be agreement here.
I will
You want some questions?
lay them on me.
No, it's a perfect document.
Okay.
Let the record reflect that.
Nobody said it was perfect.
All right, so we have
So
a
yes.
motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much, Jay.
And work will continue on the RFP for the housing stuff.
Okay, thank you. All right, looks like we are ready to move into the YAMTIP discussion.
Yes, thank you, Anne. YAMTEP is an acronym that stands for Young Adult Manufacturing Training Employment Program. YAMTEP is a nonprofit organization that provides manufacturing training services to young adults in Greater Rochester, and it partners with local organizations and job seekers to allow the organization to offer programs that result in more self-sustaining individuals in our workforce. A unique aspect of YAMTEP services is its ability to provide transportation to participants working in manufacturing environments where shifts are not always in alignment with transit options. And with us here today is Chris Rapp, who is the Vice President of Operations, Education and Development at YAMTEP. Notably, YAMTEP was the first organization slated to contract with COMIDA through our Workforce Development Fund in 2022. This ask today is a $520,000 request. This would be the third request from YAMTEP to COMIDA to support its operations as well as equipment purchases to support the program. The program has a lot of other support from other organizations, nonprofit and government entities. And I would like to welcome Chris Rapp up to the podium to share a few remarks and answer any questions. This request will require a board motion for approval. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So YAMTEP's been around for 9 years, and we're starting our 10th year in September. As was mentioned, we are requesting $520,000. $120,000 is to be to buy more transportation or vans to support transporting people, and I'll have a little bit more on what we do, how much we transport. And And then the rest is the support program for the different things that we do to try to continue to help people get employed. Our one measure at YAMTEP is not how many we train, it's how many we get employed. So yes, we train them. We don't really care about that number. We care about how many we get in jobs. So on the first page, it gives you a little summary of what we've done. And I think the top graph says in those 9 years, we started off slow, but now we've enrolled in 1,544 people, 957 of those graduated, and 825 we put in positions. And in 9 years, we have 147 that we weren't able to do anything with yet. So we're at about 80% overall employment rate. Last year, we had 231 people. We usually range between 220 and 300 based on each class's enrollment. So we had a couple of slow months, but we did pretty well. We added some good things that helped us quite a bit. So we were able to get 133 employed out of 165 graduates. Our measure, our percentage employed, is based on how many people completed the course. I can't help someone that dropped. So that's where we come up with 81%. Right now, we just finished a summer session that was for 18 to 24-year-olds or 18 to 30-year-olds. We had 40 people approximately in the class, and we're in process of placing them now. We're working with them or asking them to take more training because they weren't quite ready yet. Because we will not, one of our credos is we will not hurt an employer by asking them to take an employee that's not ready yet. So we'll keep working with them. And the MTEP stores are always open for people to come back in and keep training to be able to get to where they're trying to grow to. If we look at our accomplishments last year, we added several new customers. We added U of R, or I call employers customers, but U of R is a strong employer partner now. Love Beats, Norterra, Kraft Heinz, Trident Precision, Princeton Graphics, and Jamestown Container. And so they've all come in and they're taking people. And in some of the cases like U of R, we're even looking at setting up career development opportunities with them. So when people go into the U of R, that huge place, they don't get lost. So we try to work an employee development process. We'll continue to counsel and coach beyond the first days in an entry-level position. Our focus was really on career retention last year. And so we were fortunate enough to get a grant that ESL asked us to participate in for career retention. And it's not good enough just to get a person a job. We got to make sure they stay in their jobs. My personal feeling is the unemployment rate looks good, but I still say the same people are rolling back in all the time. Those people want to work, but they only want to work a couple of months or a week. And, when it's based on a 6-month rolling average, I don't know if we're having the impact, especially in the inner city, that we should be. My education when looking at doing the grant was about 8% in the inner city. So for the population of people that we work with, which are people that are, struggling with poverty. So we got that grant. We started an OJT program, which is for high-performing students in our class, and we get behind them, we pay them to take more training because they all want to go to work, but if they can get them more training, I can get them in better jobs. There's 3 things that, are stopping people from staying in jobs, and that's education, because they can't think they can go any further. And then there's, just again, number 2 is lack of understanding of what's out there for them, so career literacy. And then transportation. Transportation was in every study done in the United States as a top issue. And so we've had a focus on it now since 2018, we started transporting. And we did it with our own cars initially, just to see how it worked. And we had the benefit of getting more stick into jobs where people were staying longer because it wasn't a word for them. And then if you think about, quality of life, a person that has to take the bus, you're asking them to take a minimum of 2 hours a day out of their daily life. Right, because of the transfers and all the other things that they have to deal with. So it's worked for us. We're getting behind it fully. We built partnerships for additional education with BOCES. So again, high-performing students, We will pay their tuition for their BOCES Adult Ed, which is also helping BOCES because now they're filling their classrooms because of people that we're putting in there. And we're also doing that with the U of R as well. They have training programs that's offered as an immediate hire. So if I have a high-performing person, the U of R liaison that's representing the U of R will come in, interview, talk to them, and help them get into that position. So we're continuing to grow that way. Our goals for next year, and again, we bought two vans last year with the dollars that you gave us last year, which was the same, $520,000. And it's just, you'll see the numbers for the transportation in a minute. But this year we're looking at, you know, again, training 175 to 200 adults. And that number can grow because we offer the class every 4 weeks. High school, we're looking at 50 to 75 students this year. We're partnering with employers to have them take on high school students so we can create a larger offering for more schools and more students to take the courses. Increased training opportunities for high schools by engaging 3 new employer partners to do that training. I'm launching a healthcare soft skills program that will align us with some of the additional training from that U of R gives, that BOCES give, so we can get more people engaged and give them the opportunity to take the training. They can't afford the training that's out there right now. Even BOCES is $3,000 for every class. So we have grant money to do that now from ESL. So we're trying to grow that, and we're trying to we're gonna offer healthcare probably by January of this year. We're focused on employer-specific training. So I have an agreement with Plug Power. They selected us after I helped them with the grant. They selected us for Workforce Initiative to develop 2 training classes that I'll be able to offer better level, entry-level jobs. And it'll start career training that will make them eligible for all of the other benefits that Plug Power and companies like Plug Power can offer. Energy Materials Corporation, which is a startup here in Rochester that eventually they will have about 200 employees. They're going to leverage what we're doing for Plug Power, and they've already selected us to be their educational training provider. Love Beats wants warehouse-specific training. We're already talking to them about it, and actually have had some pilot tryouts with a couple of students that came through ours and came through our initial training and then came back and prior to being employed and got some additional training. And then GreenSpark, which is a solar installer out in Ontario, is also looking to us. I think they're also building in the city, and they're looking to us to provide warehousing and help with them. So that's what we're looking to do. The other thing that's going to be a big thing is we're looking to these dollars, these program dollars will help support. I'm looking to launch a career literacy program for underclassmen in the city schools. So we want to get to the 9th, 10th, and 11th graders, start some generational career thinking. So, and replace some of the stuff that happened, at least when I was a kid. I mean, I kind of knew what was out there when I was a kid. Today, I don't think that's covered. And from what I can see from the high school kids, they come in clueless on what manufacturing is. So we're really pushing that hard. I'm hoping to have, I already have one school signed up to participate, but I've got to work at driving in some employers that want to do it as well. We're going to do small, very focused groups, 5 students at a time, you know, maybe 3 weeks of training total, and they'll be able to roll up each year. So if they come in 1 year and as a freshman, they'll be able to do it as a sophomore and as a junior to continue to grow and hopefully go into our high school senior program. So that will touch a lot of kids. We should be able to get to a lot of kids into that program. If I look at the transport, last year, as I said, we bought 2 SUVs with money we gave. One's Mitsubishi. We got $15,743 in our Chrysler Pacifica, has 34 362. So in 1 year, they've gotten a lot of use. We continue to use them for taking people to work and picking them up, supporting all shifts, and these are some of the places that these 2 vans specifically took people to. We also use them for our high school training program, which is for seniors in their spring semester, and so we've used that for them. We have a contract with BOCES that supports anybody that needs transportation, that will get them out to Spencer Ford and back. You also support the hiring process with interviewing and getting them to their interviews and orientation requirements, drug test appointments, and training schedules. So some folks will have you come in at a different shift to do their training, and then when you're done training, they'll go on a regular shift and get into the regular transport. Our current fleet is 2 SUVs, 3 15-seat vans, 5 rentals that are available to us, and those are 15-seat vans as well. And then we have a grant already, as I said, ESL is 100% behind our retention grant that we put together. And so we have another van coming in from them that they've given us some money for next March. This coming year, the goal for the monies that you're going to support us with, hopefully, is for transportation. We plan, our goal is really to be community resource for organizations outside of just YAMTEP students. We'll take anybody, right? So we've already started working with ABC, with Catholic Family Centers, Urban League, and we're creating those relationships because there's lots of people need help. We have the infrastructure, we're good at it now, and we think we can take on a lot more people. We're going to grow the high school program to align with our goals and objectives. As I talked about the literacy health program, there's going to be a lot more need to be able to go pick up people, take them where they got to go. Even one of the things that we've been talking about a lot is helping single moms and helping them with the transport of if they have a child to drop off at daycare or any single parent, I should say. If they have a child to drop off at daycare, we're going to do the round trip for them, right? So that would probably normally be 2.5 hour one way. Now we're going to get them there in 45 minutes, right? We'll pick them up at their house, take them to daycare, take them to work, and then, return the same way. And I think from a quality of life standpoint, an ability to continue to work with their kids and be in focus with them in their lives, I think that's a great answer for them. And that should bring in more people to be employed, and that's what our goal is. The other thing is we're going to continue to grow employer support. We have agreements already with a couple employers where we not only deliver the people that came through the YAMTEP program, we offer it to everybody that needs transportation in their business. So that's actually helped their attendance daily, their tardiness, and it's really picked up their ability to perform as a company. That's my story.
And you're sticking to it.
I'm sticking to
it's
it.
Very comprehensive. Any questions by the board? Norm?
Good. You have a question?
I do, but I'll wait.
I don't know that age go before beauty.
He's not.
My question, of the people that have gone through your program, do you keep track of how many of them eventually become self-sufficient and no longer need your transportation service?
That's actually one of our needs for continuing, dollars coming in. We need to, improve on that. We have not done that.
Okay.
We don't have the staff. We're a very, very small staff.
Okay.
We do all of this with 4 full-time employees.
My question is, or my request is, a breakdown of how the funds that we provide you, the workforce development, how that's being utilized. You said you purchased 2 vans.
Right.
What happened to the rest of the funds that were
it supports the organization wherever we have dollars. And so every month or every quarter when I put in a request for dollars, I attach a full report on all expenses.
Do we receive a breakdown?
Yes, we do. We
Okay.
can get you that
Yeah,
information.
I even provide invoices.
Yeah, I think that that's important. Just like the point that Jay made about after they go through your program.
Right.
Where are they later on? Because if you continue to pick them up from daycare and you're always just doing that, they're never going to be self-sufficient.
Right.
I like to see where you're talking about instead of driving them, give them a driver's license. Get them involved in some things that's going to improve their lot in life instead of providing just these. I think they're like Band-Aids.
Yeah.
So, I think there should be a component where you look at after they complete your program, where are they now? I mean, they used to have a program on television for athletes and entertainers. Where are they now? What are they doing later on? So, as a follow-up to your program, you should be saying, guess what? These people went through YAMTEP, and this is where they're at now. These are the success stories, and these are people that we're, so I think that's important. That has to happen.
I agree 100%, and we'll make every effort to do that.
I think that should be a condition of you receiving additional funds, not making the effort, but a condition. I don't know how we do that, but I think that's important for the success of this program, and not just throwing Band-Aids at things.
Can you say that again, what you were saying?
After follow-up.
Condition that you're.
It should be a condition of the actual grant, of them receiving funds, that they have a follow-up with the YAMTEP participants and see where they're at, and basically track their success. And if you get the details, start looking at the details that's there, and using the analytics that are out there, looking at zip codes and where you're at and how those zip codes are being impacted. There's so much good data there that if we don't capture it and see what's happening, we're going to continue to be going down that path.
I can provide zip code data now, and I can provide race data, age data, all of that. I can send a report easily on that. For the retention piece, though, on the follow-up, if we can put, right now what I committed on the retention grant is that I'm going to give a 3, 6, in 1 year report on retention. And if I could keep it consistent with that, that would be helpful, unless you want something more, because then I have other infrastructure that I have to put in place.
I think it's important that you look at from, I know you have information going back to 2015 when it was started, that you can even look back there and see where the folks are. And I think funders would be interested in seeing the actual impact of what you've done there. Just a little FYI, I was at the table when YAMTEP was a concept and was being developed. So I'm a proponent of YAMTEP, but I'm not a proponent of just keeping it as just to carry it on. I'm a proponent of it being something that you're going to assist people out of their lot in life so they can do better.
Okay, understood.
We'll have that reflected in the minutes, and in our follow-up with YAMTEP, we will sort that out as we look at our contract with YAMTEP, in terms of where the contract delineates reporting requirements to the board.
Thank you.
Let me ask, so out of the 400,000, how many people do you plan on hiring?
We don't hire. We strive to get based on total enrollment and the drop pieces in there. We would sign up for 50% of that, getting them jobs into our employer partners.
What I'm saying to you is you have 4 full-time people now, correct?
Huh?
You have 4 full-time people now?
Yeah, we need to hire a couple more.
That's where I was going. Okay, so you want to hire...
I mean, part of the plan is to do exactly what you said, and it's an expectation of not what you said, sir, but it's also an expectation of the other people that we have grant money with, is that we're going to provide information on retention and where are they now type stuff, and the success or fail of the program.
Thank you.
Any other questions by the board? But we're going to follow up on all of that.
Okay, thank you.
In terms of what our expectations are for future reporting. I'll ask for a motion to approve the execution and delivery of a contract with YAMTEP Inc. to support the Workforce Development Program in an amount not to exceed $520,000 for 1 year. there a motion? Moved by Lisa, seconded by Rhett. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Success to you.
Appreciate all your time, thank you.
Thank you.
It wasn't in the motion, but it'll be in the contract.
Okay. Should that be in the motion, the stipulation, or should it be in the contract?
I think Anna reflected that she will work through the existing contract.
We don't have, I think the motion for the minutes will reflect the condition.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. All right, our next motion is with Greater Rochester Enterprise Economic Gardening Program request, and Matt Velva is here. Why do we always have you at the end of the agenda?
I know, right?
I think we need to be more respectful of Matt's time.
Matt, what did you do to Anna to make her put you at the end of the agenda?
I think she knows how patient I am.
I do. I like to test it, I guess. Matt is here to talk about Greater Rochester Enterprises Economic Gardening Program. Economic gardening is a national model. It's an entrepreneurial approach to economic development. Focuses on growing local second stage companies that export innovation. It's an alternative strategy to economic hunting, and Greater Rochester Enterprise is really a pioneer in having introduced economic gardening to its business retention and expansion strategy back in 2012. Economic gardening itself has been around for, I think, close to 30 years now. So, and GRE has received a lot of accolades on a national scale for its program delivery in the Greater Rochester region, and COMIDA joined MCIDC in funding economic gardening at GRE. I think last year was the first year that we started funding EG via COMIDA. So this is a $50,000 ask. So with that, I'll let Matt take the reins.
Sure. Well, thank you for that. And yes, you joined MCIDC, the Konar Foundation, and the ESL Foundation, Rochester Area Community Foundation, in supporting the effort. Economic gardening really serves companies that are $1 to $50 million in revenue, 10 to 99 employees, and they're typically in tradable sectors. So they're selling products and services outside the region and bringing that revenue back. And that's really critical to good economic development. We have been recognized by the International Economic Development Council last year as a key business retention and expansion strategy using economic gardening for that. So far, with the COMIDA support we've received this year, we've served about 8 Monroe County companies, and we'd like to replicate that going forward. And your support is especially critical, as some of our other funders have reduced funding because they're kind of targeting other areas with their investments. So it is a good business tool, as we see, especially post-COVID. Yes, we still talk about that. Companies increasing sales, especially outside of the region, and identifying new markets. We've received some excellent feedback from local companies as well as the National Center for Economic Gardening on the type of entrepreneurs they see here in Rochester, and we believe this is a great strategy to support economic growth, and it's been replicated in the Buffalo area based on our success here in New York to date. I will say too, that category of what we call second stage companies, they account for about 15% of companies in a typical metropolitan area, of which Monroe County and Rochester is, but about 40% of the jobs. So these are some really good companies that are innovative, helping to expand. Jacoco is one. We worked with Zweigels in the past, Invada, who's expanded a couple times, and a number of others. So we appreciate your support.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions on this? All right, so we have a motion to approve the $50,000 grant for 1 year so that we will approve the execution and delivery of a contract with the Greater Rochester Enterprise for the Economic Development Program in the amount not to exceed $50,000 for 1 year. Been moved by Rhett, seconded by Jay. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Continue good
Thanks.
work in your
Thanks again.
Thanks very much.
Bye, Matt.
Okay. Looks see, next one is the New York State DOT PREP grant.
Yes, rail infrastructure upgrades at Eastman Business Park. I would love to ask Rachel to take on the introduction of this item and answering any questions.
Sure. So you may recall, it was either the June or July meeting, we approved accepting the funds, which was $3 million in grant proceeds from the Passenger and Freight Rail Assistance Program on behalf of Kodak, so we're a pass-through for that money. We didn't know at the time that we approved, or we would have done it at that time, right? The state then let us know that we also need to just administratively appoint COMIDA employees to access the Equitable Business Opportunities System run by the state. So our staff will have the ability to monitor the progress of the project and such through that system. It'll primarily be used by Kodak, but we do need to just appoint our own staff to access it. Purely administrative.
More time.
So that's all we're approving?
More time for you.
More time for me to work on it, yeah.
Yes. And just for context, Rachel, can you remind the board when this project initiated and how?
Yeah, so actually this project initiated back in fall of 23. We approved submitting, maybe it was 22 actually.
I think it was
22. To approve, we approved submitting both state and federal grant applications. The federal grant was not approved, the state grant was. So this is the state grant, and then in June or July, I think it might have been the June meeting, right, although I don't recall, we approved receiving the grant. It's $3 million. Kodak's share, their match is $1 million. Currently, I'm working on the contract with Kodak where COMIDA is fully indemnified as a pass-through of these funds, and Kodak is, of course, undertaking all the project improvements.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion or not?
We do.
Yes.
We do. Okay.
Oh, I didn't write it.
We don't,
So it would
don't
just
have a
be,
motion.
I forgot to write it, I'm sorry.
I can recite the motion. It's a motion to approve the executive director, deputy director, director of operations, and project manager of the agency. So that is all of the agency's employees to have access to the EBO system.
Great, thanks, Rachel. Is there
Sure.
a second? Or is there a motion?
A motion.
Rhett, okay. Rhett moved and Joe is seconding. Any other questions on that? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right.
The next item is in regards to 2 pilot modifications in the town of Irondequoit that will be familiar to most of our board members in and around the area of I-Square. And I would love, again, for Rachel to take on
No problem.
the responsibility.
And I'm just going to look at
details.
some notes as I do it, because I've joked that these two pilots come in pairs. They're unrelated, but we always end up working on them at the same time with both East and West Irondequoit. So 1733 Ridge Road, it's the pilot on the former Medley Mall. It's comprised of many parcels, both within the mall, interior, multiple tax parcels, as well as exterior out parcels. Earlier this year, actually, Troy brought to our attention that an Aldi's store had been constructed on one of the out parcels, and that parcel had also been subdivided and leased ground let to Aldi's. Staff met with the developer and determined that the parcel must be removed from the pilot for failure to use local labor. And also, we don't feel comfortable that that was an approved part of the project in any event. So we're currently working with the town, school, and county to remove the parcel. It may take some time to get through municipal approval processes to do so. Both the town and the school are parties to this pilot agreement, and the county, I believe. So I have a call next week to discuss with all of the actual stakeholders. So we're working on that one. I'll pause for questions. I-Square. So this is a special pilot on the I-Square development in the town of Irondequoit. It contains construction and investment milestone provisions, as well as job creation requirements. The developer has met the investment milestones and job creation requirements, but is unable to meet the square footage construction milestone. One of the follow-up questions from this board, along with the school, is why has he been unable to meet the construction milestone, and what is going to happen in the future? Mr. Nolan's answering that question, so we are still gathering information. Again, this is just an FYI, we're not looking for board action today. Additionally, to adjusting the milestones, the developer has requested to remove one small parcel from the pilot agreement as he's decided to sell it to a third party. Staff and I met with the developer, the town, and school representatives on July 24th. All parties were comfortable with the removal of the one small parcel and adjustment of the milestones provisions. However, the latter needs approval from the town and school boards, as well as the COMIDA board when we get there. Town and school are considering, we're going back and forth almost on a daily basis to answer questions about the future of the development, but at some point in the future, both of these pilots will come before the board for action. This is just given the nature of these projects and they're high profile, we wanted to alert the board at this point that we're working on them.
It's not the first time that I-Square is modified.
It is not, and it's typical, with these special pilots, both are special pilots, large-scale development with milestones that the town and schools wanted to see met, and frequently we come back and modify those agreements because the projects just change through time.
Over time. That's all helpful information, but we don't need to take any actions, just for your information.
Rachel, were we able to get answers, or are those questions being asked, the one that I brought up, which is, it looks like the dollars were met, but the square footage is half.
Yeah.
So, which would indicate that construction cost, right, simple math, was double, and that seems hard for me to wrap my arms around, particularly since some of the buildings, I think, are not nearly as expensive to build as the original I-Square building, so I'm just having trouble reconciling that.
We'll make sure that question is one that we submit. The school submitted a long list of questions yesterday, which the developer worked on answering. We'll have our own list of questions, that being one of them. If there are other questions that board members want to ask that aren't coming to mind right now, feel free to email them to myself and staff, and we'll relay them on, and will be part of our approval process to have our questions answered as well.
Thank you.
Rich, I'd like to know, in the original pilot that was given, the square footage that he promised us, where is it now? What's that shortfall, right? What was supposed to be in that square footage? Was it built? Was it not built at all? Was it built and not finished? Where is that square footage?
So the original scope of the project was 92,000 square feet. Currently, there's approximately 44,000 square feet constructed, so less than half.
Yeah, less than half. So was the other 50,000 square feet constructed and not finished?
The 44,000 is constructed is up and operational and occupied. I know there's immediate plans for some senior housing as part of it, and that was part of the approval. It's a mixed-use town center.
Right.
So there are some housing opportunities coming up on Lorraine Drive, which is part of the development.
Yeah.
As for what precisely came out of the project and what went into it, or what, I know that the senior housing is going to happen. I believe that's all. But we can find out more specifically what came out of the project. I know there was a large entertainment venue, an experience center, educational kind of experience center that I don't believe are part of the project anymore.
Yeah, right. I know the way it was pitched is not what was there. Because I've read a lot about it in the paper. So and I've had somebody in Irondequoit reach out to me that was involved with the town that said, hey, what they sold us is not what we got. So I just think we need to take a hard look at it. That's all.
Yep. Okay. Absolutely.
Okay, any other questions on that? All right, I don't believe we need to take action on that. And so I guess the dashboard is
Sure, yes.
final report of the day.
Thank you, Anne. You can see from the numbers on this month's dashboard that we are tracking at a similar pace to where we were this time last year. In terms of projects, we've had 16 sales tax exemptions, 10 mortgage recording tax exemptions, and 9 pilots approved year to date. And those numbers for year end in 2023 respectively were 30, 12, and 12. So we are actually, I shouldn't have said that we're at the same clip. We're a similar clip around pilots, but not quite so on sales tax exemptions. I don't know what we have in our pipeline for the next few months. I think we have a couple of projects teed up, but not a ton of activity. Similar to what you're reading in the national news about company investments and business owners kind of holding off as they wait for the Fed to make a decision on interest rates. Total company investments thus far year to date are at over $200 million. The prior year end was 1.1, close to 1.2 billion. So we're not quite there in terms of investments. Last year was a big year. I think we closed Fairlife. Fairlife was approved, part of Fairlife was approved last year, right? And then in terms of jobs, total jobs required for all projects, year to date, 157, and the prior year end was 119, so we're up in terms of job creation and retention. New jobs projected by applicant prior year end was 494, year to date 471. And then in terms of retention, the prior year end was 321, year to date 803, so we're looking good in that respect. And then Greg did a pretty good job looking through our financials at where we are in our fees and our workforce development fund, and no additional activity on the solar workforce development fund. I think the last and only time we had an injection of money into the solar fund was with the Horseshoe Solar project. Sorry.
No, that one hasn't closed. There was the Wolf and Mantisi solar project.
The Wolf and Mantisi solar, yes. So not seeing a ton of solar projects coming to COMIDA or any. That's the dashboard. Any questions, please share or comments.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anna. Any other topics to come before the board? All right. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn and say also that the next meeting is on my birthday. I don't know why that happens, but it does.
All right, we're bringing a cake.
You gonna have cake?
Well, we certainly will.
I think we had before.
We're gonna have cake?
Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
By Jay,
Second.
seconded by Norm. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. And we have